Hello. Happy Monday, you guys. I turn off my fan. Did you like the music? I, of course, had made a mess of it. I found these cool playlists, and this one was R&B and soul, but to me, it was more like kind of funk. I don't know. I like this one. There's a reggae playlist that's really good too. But yeah, I think I kind of hit the mother load of royalty-free playlists. I just need to remember to plug in the playlist and not just the single track. So that's why things are a little weird if you were listening all the way through. We'll talk about this in a moment. Perhaps we can set it down for a minute. Okay. I still have a splint on my hand, so it doesn't fit well in him. But stitches are out, you guys. Yay! Let me get the chat up. For some reason, the chat is not working on my streaming software, and that makes me so annoyed. So here's... Finn McCool's mom is here. Hello, Leah, my dear. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you made it on time today. You know what? Anytime my friends can make it here, I'm always so excited to see them. Druid, my dear, I hope you had a good weekend. Looks like I got a few other people here lurking. So, I did some sewing this weekend. I watched some crappy TV. There is a movie, and I just ran across it this weekend. It is on Prime Video. It is with Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman. I mean, she is a fantastic actress. I love her. I love everything she does, mostly. I've discovered this weekend something that she did that was real poopy. Gael Garcia Bernal. I think he's a Spanish actor, but he was also in this movie. He's aging well. A very good looking actor. This movie is called Holland, and it is about, I believe it's in Michigan, Holland, Michigan. And I kind of thought it would be this sort of like dark comedy sort of thing. It was not. It was quite possibly the worst movie I've seen in a while. So, and I kept watching it because I was like, okay, it's got to get better. And then the final scene comes, and I was like, I was literally angry because it ended up being just kind of a crappy movie. But then this ridiculous ending, and I hate that. Oh, you guys, how I hate that. When you get this movie, and then the director and writer decided to just... I think it's a cop-out, honestly. You know, like I have watched some fantastic movies. I mean, let's spoiler alert. Let's talk about the Sixth Sense by M. Night Shyamalan. Like, was that his like first movie? I think. True it, yeah. Mark it. I don't want to see this movie ever. It's the cinematography is beautiful in the movie, but you know, because they have all these cool Dutch costumes and tulips and all these beautiful, you know. And there's a train garden that features, and it's, you kind of think it's a replica of the town, but it's not. It turns out not to be really a replica of the town. But anyway, you see a lot of that. So there's all of these like, you know, macro shots of, or micro shots of, I guess those are actually macro shots of the train going through, and like, very cool, very cool. They probably spent a lot of money on that little train garden thing, which was the highlight of the movie. But anyway, so a movie like The Sixth Sense, you get that twist at the end, and you know there's so many people that said like, oh, like my husband, oh, I saw it coming. I'm like, bull, you did not. Or you know what, you're no fun to watch movies with because I don't like people that like see it coming. I like to be surprised. So that's a brilliant twist at the end of a movie, and I think it gets harder and harder to write those scripts, I guess. I mean, who am I? Armchair quarterbacking the writing of movie scripts. But from what I read about Holland, apparently the script kicked around Hollywood for about a decade until Nicole Kidman's production company picked it up. And like I said, great actors in it. The cinematography was lovely, but the script was just so bad. The story was just so bad. So, Holland, write it down. Don't watch it. Don't waste your time. But I did binge on some of my favorite YouTubes this weekend also while I was sewing. And I thought it might be fun. There's a couple of YouTube and Instagram accounts that I look at frequently, and I don't know if I've ever shared them. I know a bunch of them are probably ones that you guys already follow, but I thought it would be fun to just look at these, and many of them do shorts, so I thought we could look at some shorts because those only take a couple minutes. And then the ones that don't do shorts, I thought we could just watch some clips. I don't want to watch a full-blown, multi-minute video, but there's some kind of cool ones that I just haven't watched in a while, and I thought that would be fun to look at those. Some of them are sewing related, some are sort of cultural, some are art, some are none of those things, but they are delightful nonetheless. So we'll get to that in a second. Before I get there, let's not forget, this is sort of our last week of advertising. We will be reading Portable Patchwork starting in April. Tomorrow's the 1st, so very soon. If you are interested in reading along with Quilt Nerding and you don't already have the book, you can get it from Pam Weeks, the author. You just have to email her at pamela.weeks@gmail.com, and she will take it from there, get all your shipping info and deal with the payment, all that stuff. So if you would like to buy this book from her, and I think she's got shipping included, she's autographing the book, etc. So I also have a giveaway copy that we will release the sign up for the giveaway tomorrow. I was supposed to do it last week and I didn't finish that. So stay tuned. Watch Quilt Nerding. I'll post it on my the KTV Facebook page, and then we'll have it on Quilt Nerding and stuff. So keep an eye out for that. Also, August. What is wrong with me? April 12th, we will be doing our first hosted video, or our first hosted lecture. It's not just a video, it's a live lecture. So I'm dropping that link in there. And I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me advertise this, but when you're selling something, you have to get it in front of people like a million times. So we will be hosting this first lecture with Pam on April 12th. It's a Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't make it, it's not a big deal. Pam has given us permission to keep the video recording and for a week and send it to you. So you would have a week afterwards to watch it. So just a reminder there. And like I said, I've said all along, if you're not interested, if it's, not your jam, we would love it if you could share it, in your guild, or if you're just in any groups where they allow that. I know some don't allow that kind of thing, but if they do, pass it along and share it. We would love that. And it's getting close, and we're so excited because, again, this is our first time. So I have said that. Why don't I show you what I worked on this weekend? Should I have been actually working on something that is urgent and time sensitive? Yes, I should. But instead, I elected to finish my pin cushion, my shamrock pin cushion. And as a reminder, this is the kit I bought. Clover's the Shades of Green by Mary Jo Heine. She's a friend of a friend, and my friend Dawn, when Dawn posted that she had made a couple of these, hers are in different colors, but I was just like, oh, that is so cute. I love shamrocks. I love little reproduction sewing things, and so I had to. And so it's silk velvet, and it's got all the little picot beading, and it's got this silk ribbon embroidery in the middle. It was a lot of fun to make. It was a little bit challenging. It was like the kind of sewing project I like, a little bit of a challenge. And so it was fun. And we will actually quickly look at Mary Jo's YouTube. I added her in because she's got a YouTube video. I'm like, oh, what is this? I haven't watched it yet. We'll watch it together. So I've got that going on. Otherwise, I got ready for my trip, and that is not interesting. The trip itself is interesting, not the getting ready. But as Jill and I have mentioned a bunch of times, we are heading to Lincoln, Nebraska for an AQSG thing that we're involved in, and we're going to be there for 2 days. And then we're going to do a little road trip. We're going to drive from Lincoln, Nebraska up to Winterset, Iowa. And those of you guys who are used to watch Quilt Nerd might recognize that as Mary Fonz's hometown. So we're going to go to, Mary will not be there to my knowledge, but we're going to swing by the Iowa Quilt Museum. And then we'll be one night in Iowa, and then we're going to head to Minnesota to visit a friend. So action-packed week we have going on starting Thursday. Jill's already on the road. I'm flying. But so before I forget, and I'll remind me to remind you guys at the end, there will be no stream for me on Thursday. Quilt Nerding will have a stream that is going to come up to, or a video that's going to come up tomorrow. No stream, but we created a video for you guys, and we're planning on doing a pop-up next week or the weekend, depending on what our Wi-Fi and internet connection looks like. So just keep an eye out for that if you're a follower of Quilt Nerding. So no stream for me this Thursday, no stream for me next Monday, and I will be back a week from Thursday. So put it on your calendars. And like I think I said last stream, I'm gonna update all of this in Twitch. Now that I'm doing the stream today, I can update the calendar. They do not make it easy. I know Robin knows. I don't think Robin's here today, but hey BFD, it's good to see ya. Robin knows what a challenge Twitch is sometimes updating our calendar. So I will be back April 10th. That will be the next stream after today. So no stream on the 3rd, no stream on the 7th, back on the 10th. The 10th! That's like getting ready to be halfway through April. You guys, I can't even. It's just, time goes by way too fast. But we will have lots of fun things to show. So let's get into it. Let me move some things around on my screen. And I will have all these links to share. Let me just get this set up here. All of my many, many screens. And my many, many monitors. Okay. Move that. All right. All right, Abe. Hold my phone. All right, other screen. Okay, so like I said, I watch a lot of YouTube sort of to pass the time when I am sewing, because sometimes it's kind of easier, right, than trying to find something on TV. You can just let it stream and put on a playlist. So, let me move this over there. Okay. So, I have got the first one pulled up here. Sorry, guys. All right, there we go. So the first one here, this is the Craft in America YouTube. And this one's probably not like, earth-shattering for anybody, but Craft in America was a big deal when I was in art school, and American Craft Magazine, all of this kind of stuff I was very closely studying when I was in art school, because I wasn't just doing fiber when I was in art school. I did actually my primary focus was metalsmithing. Which, today I'm like, why did I bother? Why didn't I just go 100% into fiber? I split my time, but I made my main senior thesis focus on metalsmithing. Anyway, Craft in America, of course, is all kinds of handcraft items. So it's not just fiber and textiles. That it's also woodworking and ceramics and glass blowing and all the things. So, if you don't follow them, if you don't look at their stuff, do look at their stuff, because it's really good. And as I was scrolling through here looking which video might we look at? There's a Hawaiian quilting one that I think is really good, but I want to look at this one because look at this. This is the Chicago International Miniature Show. And, come on. So... And it's just music, so.
These are some of the puppets that I acquired when I was traveling to Africa.
No. I guess because I already looked at it. It wants to. There we go. I realized that there's not really any close-ups here, but oh, you guys know how much I love miniatures. And there are some miniature textiles that they do flash on. I had no idea that this existed. I should have known, but look at all this little stuff. Little tiny shoes. Oh my goodness. Look at the quilts. Look at the quilts and little rugs. Oh, so fabulous. So fabulous. Little paintings and stained glass, furniture, animals. Oh my goodness. Food. Tiny food. Samplers. Oh my gosh. Okay. Don't you love it? I love it. One thing I wanted to show here that I think sometimes folks have, and the reason I'm showing this, and again, most of you are probably like, Cake, you don't need to show us this. This is dumb. But I think sometimes people, when interacting with YouTube, maybe have trouble finding things. Particularly, I think, quilt nerding, because we do live streams. Those show up in a different place than just like regular videos. So like if you just go to, and I didn't pull us up. If you just go to the see if I can open ours and you can see this. When you go to the main page, so you can see up here, it's youtube.com quilt nerding, or ampersand quilt nerd. No, not ampersand, @ quilt nerding. This is our main page, and you'll end up here on the home page, and you can see all of our past streams. But then you can see videos. Videos are separate from streams. So irritating, but that's the way it is. And when we are actually live, if you come to this page, you should see the live right here as the first thing. But sometimes it doesn't show up that way. So what I wanted to point out is you have this little navigation bar right here. And if a channel has videos, shorts, live, etc., all of these things will be available, playlists. If they don't have all of those things, this little bar will be smaller. So like there's a couple of people I'm going to show you that don't do shorts and they don't do live. So they only have like videos and playlist. So this is just a sort of a shortcut. I think that people sometimes have a challenge navigating these things. So I wanted to point it out. And you can see like, this was our live the other night. We've got some shorts that Jill and I have created here and there. And then the videos are the ones that we upload. So just to make that clear. Also, I know one thing that I'll just throw this in here. I know one thing, folks that watch live streams in, just really anything on a phone or a tablet, this interface might look different. And a lot of times it's hard for people to find like the chat. And what I would suggest is turn your device sideways like this, and when you tap on the screen, you should be able to get the chat to pull up and kind of scoot into your field of vision. I don't usually like to watch things on my phone just because it makes it so small. But, when you're on the run or, not anywhere near a computer, sometimes it's all you have. So I'm going to make that point too. All right. So we got Craft in America. We got us. You know what? Let me just give you our link in case you don't have it. And if you don't have it, what's wrong with you? All right, so there's quilt nerding. All right, so the next one. I discovered Cornelius. I don't remember how. I was probably just looking for something, or just, I don't know, just poking around, and he showed up, and I was like, who is this guy? So he's not just, he does touch on quilting, but a lot of what he does is about fabric, sewing machines. Some things are, drafting and construction. Just an interesting guy. I guess a little bit about his background. I think he's a Mennonite. He's a former Mennonite, and he grew up in a community like in South America. So I think, some of these communities like Amish, Mennonite, they're very insular communities, and they kind of develop their own regional dialects and those kind of things. So it sounds like his experience in South America in this group is different than the like Mennonites and groups that we encounter here, you know, up in the States. So he's just got an interesting background. And I think all that info is like way back in his early videos. But anyway, I pulled up some of his shorts, and I thought this would be fun to look and see what he is talking about lately. So let's see, which is the one? Stitch in the Ditch is the one I want to watch. So
Stitch in the ditch. What does that mean? It means to sew right on top of a previous stitch you've done. And the purpose of it being to hide your stitch in the ditch. Say that fast 3 times. Stitch in the ditch, stitch in the ditch, stitch in the ditch.
Isn't he delightful?
I don't like to put waistbands on my pants anymore. Instead, I just make them that little bit taller, and then on the inside, I put a facing. But here's the problem. This thing is all loose and flappy. It's going to go all over the place. No bueno. So I go ahead and run a stitch in the ditch of my side seam here, right inside the dart in the back, the center back of my pants if my demo had a center back, and boom, this facing isn't going anywhere. And if I was doing this for real, I would use a matching thread. And that is stitching in the ditch. My name is Cornelius Quiring, and Cornelius.ooh is my website. Stitch in the ditch.
If I remember correctly, Cornelius.ooh is his, I think it might be like a membership site. I think you can, like, be a member of his community. Such a delightful character. I think he's so funny and fun to watch. And he's got longer videos too, so this is just all his stuff. And he makes a lot of his clothes. I guess these mock turtlenecks he wears, I guess he doesn't make, but he seems to, and his mom makes clothes and stuff. So anyway, he is fun. Okay. This is Shagufta Films, and oh, you know what? Did I put Cornelius? Oh, I didn't put Cornelius's link in here, so let's put his link in. And just a heads up, as you're going to see as we go along, there's a few people in here who are friends. Their links. I came across many of you guys as I was pulling up links, and I thought, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I imagine a lot of my Cake TV friends are artists and make things and probably would not mind at all to have their YouTubes and Instagram stuff shared. But I just wanted to be respectful. However, if you want me to do another round, like a link roundup, and I can include you guys too, you know where to find me. Absolutely feel free to, let me know. You can DM me or, you guys know how to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to share your links. I like doing that. So just let me know, and we could do another link roundup with Cake TV friends. Okay, so Shagufta Films, I don't know where this person is from because all of the audio is just music, but they do the most fantastic embroidery and make it look so easy. But any of these like really intricate sort of things you can learn how to do. And they have a lot of playlists and stuff. Stump work, stuffed things, and look, mirror work, animals, borders, like just all kinds of fantastic stuff. So sometimes I just watch these for fun because they're so pretty. and the stitching is just so lovely.
आज हम बहुत खूबसूरत सा flower embroidery करेंगे.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I have seriously not heard her voice. I swear she has not done a voice. It sounds like she might be Indian. So let's see. Let's go ahead and listen to this one. Okay, now where did the audio go? Well, I don't know where the audio went on this, but anyway, she has very good video, or like her video is angled directly into her sewing. She also stitches really fast, which that obviously is sped up. But when she's just doing her real-time stitching, she's very, very accurate and very, very quick. This one she's doing pretty basic stitches. But some of these, she does these like really intricate stitches. Actually, you know what? Let's jump forward to one of her other ones. This one's good, but some of these, let's see.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मेरे फ्रेंड्स, आज हम ये बहुत खूबसूरत सा फ्लावर बनाएंगे। इसकी आप बेल भी बना सकते हैं, इसके साथ बहुत खूबसूरत सा नेकलाइन भी बना सकते हैं। इसमें मैं एंकर के थ्रेड यूज़ कर रही हूँ, आप डीएमसी और कोई सा भी थ्रेड यूज़ कर सकते हैं।
So I'm going to mute it because she's not speaking in English. So she uses DMC. She also uses some other stuff that it seems to be like a thicker, you know, it might very well be something that we have access to here, but I'm not familiar with it. But it's like a sort of a thicker thread. And let's fast forward through. Get to the flower. So you can see, yeah, this is that sort of thicker looking thread. This is definitely not like a DMC, I don't think, like just regular DMC embroidery floss. I think this is some other type of thread. But so she's doing like just a lazy daisy stitch here. That's pretty easy, but she'll start to do, yeah, she does. I think she does like there's just really good tutorials. So if you, you know, wanted to learn how to, I mean, basic embroidery stitches, so many of you guys probably already know how to do a lot of this stuff, but they're actually kind of meditative to watch. But, you know, just even getting some ideas about designs, you know, if you wanted to embroider like some clothing or, you know, something, a quilt block or something. Sometimes just the, you know, basic ordinary stitches are meh. But yeah, so I love her. Really love her channel. So let me put her, and like I said, it doesn't matter that she is not recording in English because, you know, it's you know, such a good tutorial. All right, Sewing Doc Academy. I thought we could just real quick watch one of her shorts. This is Andy Barney. I actually belong to the Sewing Doc Academy and she's also friends of friends. So, you know, I feel like I mean, I have met Andy, but I feel like I know her and Paul just having watched a lot of their stuff. So some of this, let's see, let's find a good one. We'll do this one.
Groups and not having habits is you can have 4 machines with the exact same symptom, just say thread nesting, but you could have 4 totally different issues. So if you're going to YouTube and you're searching brother, you know, CSI 6000 thread nesting, you might find a video, but that person had maybe a totally different cause of the problem than you had. So a lot of times we end up making machines worse by trying someone else's tactics that had nothing to do with the problem. The reason why YouTube is a problem and
so good advice. I have learned a lot of stuff from Andy and Paul through Sewing Doc, and they have kind of turned this into, you know, it was originally they did sewing machine repair at a brick and mortar, and then they started putting stuff on YouTube, and now they have like an academy. And I think their goal at one time was to get into kind of like do like a tech school kind of thing for people that you know, are looking for like a career in this. Because so many of these like old school sewing machine repair people are closing their shops, or they're, you know, honestly, they're dying or they're retiring. So that's what she and Paul have been working on. And I think they've done an incredible job of building their business. But what I would say is, if you want to service your machine yourself, they teach servicing old machines, not necessarily restoring machines, because I think when you talk about machine restoration, you're talking about like the whole cabinet and everything when you talk about vintage or antique machines. But they do get into like how to service featherweights, you know, how to fix and service old machines, what to do about cracking open your new machines. Now I can tell you they're like, I think Andy is certified by a bunch of the major like machine companies. But they will tell you, like, don't go cracking open your machine if you already have the warranty and like a service contract, because you do void your warranty when you open up a machine. So anyway, they are fantastic. I mean, I think this video, she made the point, like, you know, you can seek help on YouTube, but when you're talking about a machine, you very well could be making a bad decision by following somebody else's instructions. And what she and Paul teach, and they might have a free video about this, I'm not sure, but they basically teach a process that, you know, if you've got a machine and it just needs to be like cleaned, you do this process. If you've got a machine that is maybe sewing funny, thread nesting, that kind of thing, then there's a troubleshooting process you go through. So you're not just like, you know, ripping open your machine and causing more problems. So I really love what they are doing, and I think they are desperately needed within our communities, our sewing communities. So that, and did I put them in? Yes, I put them in. Okay, so the next one is a friend, Tara Miller, and she has recently been doing more videos, and so I thought that's why I'd share her. And she has been doing retreats. So if you are looking for retreats, Tara might very well have a retreat for you. She has been traveling to do her retreats. So she just finished one in Missouri. She had done one in Tennessee last year. She's out of Atlanta, but she's traveling. And so I thought we could look at this one where she's talking.
Well, my first retreat at the Art Nest in Missouri has come to a close. The house is empty, except for me, one of my friends who's been assisting me, and the cleaning lady. But I have a long drive of 2 days, so I'm staying over again tonight.
Look at this place. Oh my gosh. Look at this
Look
classroom.
at
Oh
that
my gosh.
sunlight coming in there.
I'm jealous.
It is, I think, about 6:30 or 7. And this is where, I'll come back this way, this is where we've been sewing for 4 days.
How cool.
And we had the best time. I cried a few times because I'm a softie, and this has meant so much to me. And I know it sounds, I don't know, it sounds trite and it sounds kitschy or something, but when I see people making and getting creative when they didn't think they were creative, and I see people applying their creativity and their ideas to my designs, and they flip it and they make it their own, I get really excited, and I feel like maybe I've done what I came here to do.
I think you did, Tara. Let's flip it over to, I know she's got a picture of what they worked on. So this is the quilt that she...
I want to find and kill the people who murdered my wife.
Nah. None of that.
When you need a new water heater,
none of that. I got rid of my...
Hey guys.
Okay. It's probably going to force us to watch videos.
Hey guys. I am at the Art Nest retreat outside.
To see if she... Yeah, here we go. That is one thing.
Versions of my legacy wheel pattern. And that is also legacy
so
wheel.
See what she was teaching.
And then over there in the corner,
look at
I
that.
don't have those lights on right now, but that is my new pattern, Sovereignty.
Sovereignty.
Based on an old antique Mohawk Trail.
How cool, right? Oh, I would love to go to one of Tara's retreats. So let's see, I put her link in there. Okay. This next one is Celebrating Appalachia. And I came across, and I cannot remember this woman's name, but I came across her videos a while back, and they're long form videos. So a lot of times I'm just running out of time. But she's so very interesting because she, and I guess it's her daughter, they do, I think there were some shorts I saw with her daughter, and they're just interesting, you know, and she talks about, all kinds of different like mountain crafts. And one video I watched the other day was about spring tonic. The mountain people love the spring tonic. So this one is, I want to say this is her like watch this first video. And some of the things she talks about this Granny Donaldson, and I'm not 100% sure if Granny Donaldson is related to her or is just a woman in her community. Because again, I watched kind of haphazardly, but I came across, she's got this video talking about Granny Donaldson. So I thought we could watch that, maybe a little bit more of this one than the other ones. Just because it's so fascinating to hear her talk about these things. And she's sharing this woman's stories. So
Granny Donaldson never has been to Italy, but she and the peasant women of the Po Valley are linked together by a rare folk art that was old when Columbus was a weaver's helper. Out of the genius of their hands and their imaginations, they fashion quaint tapestries of a sort whose symbolic figures proclaim the spirit of life. They are among the most unusual tapestries in all the world, and there is something about them that suggests a kinship to the pictographs of ancient Egypt. They were created originally to deck the backs of Italian cows on certain festival days, a custom practice still in Italy, and one that probably grew out of the cow cult among the Greco-Roman peoples almost 2,000 years ago. But Granny Donaldson never had heard of the cow blanket with its decorations of crocheted flowers and animals, when in a moment of strange inspiration, she conceived and made the first one back in 1920. "I can't rightly tell you how I come to make the first one," she said. "Nobody taught me, nor showed me. I never got the ideal from anybody, and I never copied one for the good reason I'd never seen one, much less heard tell of one." She slowly shook her head, this mountain woman of 86, who can't quite understand all the stir she has created in folk art circles, whose critics have described her creations as reflecting a delightfully refreshing spirit. "Of course," she said, "you'll hear all kinds of stories."
I have to say that I love these kind of stories, and Granny Donaldson apparently is not the only person in Appalachia that, again, there are people that, they're kind of cut off from their, everyone else. They sort of, these little communities sort of grew up over the years, and, they're, my friend Amy Pabst lives in West Virginia in like one of these quote unquote hollers. And it's one of those things where they're still pretty rural, even though there are major highways that kind of run through these areas. And like Amy describes, like, wow, if you want to get to my hometown, you get off the highway at blah, blah, blah exit, and you go about half an hour. And then you turn down this dirt road, and you go like another 20 minutes. So it's like, these little communities have grown up, and even today are still kind of like insular and separated, and the people there, they may or may not travel much. And so especially elderly people are, that have been there for a long time, are probably not getting out very much. But the types of arts and crafts and things that they will do and create are just, mind-blowing. Last year at Penn Dry Goods, I watched a lecture about these sisters that created these, they're rugs, but they were really more like pieces of artwork because they used all kinds of different materials. So it's not just, they weren't just using like yarn, like rug yarn. They were using fabrics, and like they pulled apart steel wool. They unraveled steel wool and like stitched it in there. So these things were like not necessarily meant to be stepped on, even though I think people did buy them and use them as rugs. So anyway, you've got people that are just, they're just secluded from others, but they still create these amazing works of art. Gee's Bend is a perfect example that lots and lots of people in the quilting communities know about. Those women, the women down there, just, based on geographic sort of seclusion, but they were creating quilts that, kind of out of actually out of necessity. And then, later on they got tapped to do commission work, but the stuff they were making without ever having been to an art museum, these women were making things that absolutely reflected modern art. So, you've just got this really interesting, aspect of how handcraft grows up in communities, particularly when people don't have a reference. So that's what I'm thinking that she's describing here. Let's see. Does she show them? Oh, bummer. She's just going to talk. She's not going to show anything. Okay, well.
It's about how I got started making what they've come to call cow blankets, but which I never have given a name except crocheted pieces. Maybe you've already heard them. Law me, such stories, like how I seen one of them cow blankets fetched over from Italy and run straight home to copy it. They said I was in such a hurry to get to my crochet needles, I never bothered to take the path but ran straight across the field. Or how I made one for my cow named Bessie and hung it on her and kept her tied out where everybody could see her a-wearing it. Ain't none of 'em true. I never had a cow when I set out to make these pieces, and I never owned one named Bessie. Even if I'd had a cow, wasn't nothing to my mind that called for fitting a blanket to her, especially one all crocheted with flowers and animals. Folks would have thought I was plumb crazy.
I love that. Oh, that's so funny that there was gossip about her having a cow and she didn't even have one. All right. So let's see, that's their website. Okay. Mama is a fan. She is our YouTube friend. You have possibly seen her here, and she's dropped in, and I have rated her channel. So just a quick one from her. Ooh, that's loud. Quilter's not. Do you know how hard it is to teach people how to do that? I was teaching an embroidery class. This has been years ago, probably 10 years ago. And I was like, this makes a nice knot, instead of trying to tie a knot or like do the thing where you lick your finger and just twist it and makes like a big messy knot. This is such a nice way to make a nice, neat, tight knot. And to help people understand how to do this knot was so difficult. But there we go. Mama is a fan, has shown us, and it's a perfect tutorial. All right, so this is Mary Jo Heine Designs, and so in addition to these fun kits and patterns that she does, she also does these private commissions for something called cartonnage, and basically what it is like making fancy boxes. And what this is it's called Bernadette's Armoire. And it was a custom piece that she made for a person that had some type of like really fancy art doll. And so that's what this is. And so this is like a 2.5 minute video. I thought, I want to see what she was doing. Oh, look at that ribbon embroidery. Oh my goodness. Looks like it's velvet. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at the inside. It's all upholstered. Oh, look at that fabric. Oh my gosh. Look at those. The little feet are covered with velvet. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is the basics, and these are the things she used to cover. So it looks like it was an already made box, maybe? Or was she perhaps copying the box? I'm not sure. I guess we're gonna find out in a minute. Oh my gosh, that's like that silk dupioni with that weave. Okay, so I'm guessing she just used that other box as like a reference. Oh my goodness. That is not easy, I could tell you. I have done a little bit, just very basic cartonnage. Cartonnage? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Oh, that was very cool. I would love to see her actually working on it, but like that look at all of those little nooks and crannies in that thing. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. So very talented. All right. I noticed the Quilting Marine had a new video, and I know you guys probably know who he is, but he just delights me so much, so I thought we would play this one. I think this is, I think he's gifting a quilt here. I'm not entirely sure, but let's see.
Real Nation Cool Marine here. So with my buddy Steve Ahern, veteran, Air Force. He works with me, he's my brother. He picked up a Foot Locker for me, and it made me emotional. So remember this quilt? This is the quilt that went on the cruise. This is Steve's. Thanks, brother. I love you, man.
Oh, what a cool
Want
quilt.
to wrap you with it? That's all yours, man.
I couldn't have a better brother, let me tell you. We have really bonded since we know each
Since we
other.
started working here, and this is just what I do. I love him. I wanted to give him a bigger one, but he's not that tall.
This is great.
It's all yours, brother.
Keep me nice and cozy.
Love you, man. I love you too.
Aw, I love that. Quilting Marine carries a gun.
It's only thread before we start crying.
I'm assuming that he's in some type of job that's, I don't know if it's like security or law enforcement or whatever, but he is such a wonderful guy. Yeah, Druid. He was one of the first ones that you followed, the first quilters you followed. I love that. Okay. Toothbush. This is Paul Chevalier. He is not a quilter. In fact, I'm trying to think. I think he has done some quilted things, but for the most part, he is like a clothing designer guy. And from what I've watched a lot of his videos, but from what I've read between the lines, he's young. He may be right out of college. But I think he's in New York. He has this like studio, and he is making like clothing. And I don't know if he's, starting clothing line. I'm not exactly sure what his game plan is here, but he does. In the way that I came across him is he researched the tomato pincushion, and we might have looked at that video a while back. But he's an interesting guy, and much like Cornelius Quering, he just examines interesting things. So I thought we could look at this, his most recent short, which is about the parachute stitch. He's got a baseball here, so we'll see what this is about.
The stitch on this baseball is also used to fix parachutes and do surgery. I've been using it to mend the holes in this sweater, so here's how you can do this super easy stitch. Start by cutting an arm's length of thread, put it through your needle, and tie a knot at the end. We're going to make our first stitch a little away from the hole so it anchors into undamaged fabric. From there, it's just the same pattern over and over. Bring the needle from the top of the fabric through the hole to the inside and puncture back out to the outside. And repeat for the length of your rip. Over, through to the inside, back out to the outside. Finish it off by tying a knot, and you've successfully repaired a hole. The parachute stitch is super valuable because it lets you bring edges of fabric together without adding a patch on top or overlapping these borders to change its shape. I've got this old windbreaker that's too big in the back, so I figured I'd try this mending technique to tailor. I drew out some triangles to remove excess fabric, stitched down the elastic into the casing, and then cut out some panels to taper in my jacket. From there, I just used the parachute stitch to bring those edges back together. And I cut some more lines just to add extra flair. And here it is. When you learn the fundamentals of sewing, you can apply those technical basics in a creative way. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. The stitch on this baseball
That
is
was
also
actually interesting. You know, an interesting way to do that with clothing. I think that's really cool. Unfortunately, Paul, I believe that baseballs are stitched with 2 needles. I'm not entirely positive, but I'm pretty sure they get stitched with 2 needles that are doing that. It's the same stitch though, I think, but yeah, it's not exactly. In any event, he's got some really fun stuff. Okay. Now this is probably the guy that got me into actually watching stuff on YouTube. And this was years and years ago. I started watching Townsend's. You may be familiar. This was back when I was heavy duty into historical costuming. This is it John Townsend? His father owned the company, and it's in Indiana, and it is a shop for people that do historical reenactment of the 18th century. And I think they have some 19th century stuff, but it's literally like costume, shoes, accessories, all kinds of stuff for people that do this work. However, he does a lot of historical information, and what his early videos were about cooking, and I think for the most part that's still what his videos are about. But he started doing long form stuff where he basically had like a tavern. He created this little tavern, and he would have like live streams and stuff. And I just have always loved watching him, and sometimes he'll have his daughter in there, and you've watched her grow through the years. So I just thought I'd just grab one of his that's interesting.
When I hear the word ketchup, I think of this. We don't want that. We want mushroom ketchup. This is what ketchup was in the 18th century. If you look it up in the dictionary, it says a sauce made of mushrooms. It doesn't have anything to do with tomatoes. The question is, where does ketchup really come from? It was a sauce that was brought over from China and India into Great Britain in the 17th century. And that's when you start to see references to it. Now, they don't know what it is actually made out of. In fact, if they knew what that kind of sauce was made out of, they probably wouldn't have eaten it. But they try to make an emulation of it. They say, well, how can we make this? So they start to experiment and make this mushroom powder sauce stuff that is really, really good. And it starts to show up in recipe books, English recipe books, in the middle of the 18th century, about 1750. Hannah Glass has a recipe for it, and multiple other cookbooks. It really just starts to proliferate because they can't afford the real sauce from China. They need to make their own. Some people make it and sell it in the stores, but a lot of people make it at home. When I hear the word ketchup, I think of this.
So I have the Hannah Glass cookbook that he's talking about. In fact, I think my son bought it from Townsend's to give me as a gift. And yeah, it's so strange to me that what they call ketchup is nothing like what we know today as ketchup, but it was apparently a very popular sauce. And I believe Townsend's actually sells professionally bottled versions of it, if you are interested. So, but yeah, I think the very first video I remember watching of Townsend's was he made fried chicken on a campfire. And my mom was like, you got to watch this guy. And so the rest is history. But really interesting guy. All right. This one I know is oddball, but you guys know how much I love miniatures. And this person, she does such incredible little reproduction things. And she builds little dioramas and stuff, and she makes a lot of stuff from like trash essentially. So I thought she was so interesting because she makes these little things. Let's see, I'll flip over to the videos real quick. We won't look at any of them, but I have looked at like a whole bunch of her videos on this upcycling this jewelry box into I want to say it's like an insane asylum or something. Just very cool. And she's kind of quirky, and I love her stuff. And she's sort of as inspiring. Like if you want to make a thing, just out of like random crud you have around the house. So this
So
is
this
one.
bird didn't make it back into my Halloween decorations. And I'm way too lazy to dig the Halloween box out of the closet. So she's now fair game. I am now making her into art. Hey, look at my little succulents. That's right. I'm putting them inside the bird. I'm making her homier. Homier? Homely? Or no. She's gonna be a home for somebody. And if it's a little home, then I'm like renovating it. You could say that I'm flipping the bird. Get it? Like house flipper, the bird flip. Anyways, that's just the quality of jokes that you can come to expect on my quality videos. If I say the word quality enough, maybe you'll think that this video is top quality. Is it working? No. All right, let's get back to the subject matter.
Skip
and
forward.
that's actually, I don't know what cerulean blue is. Is this cerulean blue? It looks a little more like cornflower blue. Where did we get that name? Does corn have flowers? I've never seen flowers on corn. Wait, isn't the corn the flower? Circle window. But I thought that our circle window could use a little pizzazz.
She also has
And that's
some
why I
weird
put
obsession with
mushrooms and
circle
crystals on
windows.
it. It's like a little circle window medallion in our bird flip. So far, I think our flip is coming along nicely. I mean, sure, it's a little ugly right now, but you know what? Everything goes through an ugly stage. Gremlin, don't look at that. Anyways, what do you guys think of me flipping the bird? Would you live here if you were a teeny tiny human? So this bird didn't make it.
So she is so much fun and so interesting. All right, let's see, did I put her in there? Yep. Okay. The next ones are just a few from Instagram that I wanted to point out. So the first one is Caravan Quilts. And this is a friend of quilt nerding, Sarah. She takes the most beautiful pictures. And the reason why she's called Caravan Quilts is because she has a studio inside of an actual caravan. Like a cart. And I'm just like so in love with all the stuff that she does, the photographs, the quilts, all the things. So I wanted to make sure that we shared her site or her page so that you could support her. Follow her, even if you're not in the market to buy a quilt. Her photography is just beautiful. So, and she's been a big supporter of quilt nerding. All right. Now, you guys know I've mentioned before that I can vaguely knit. I am not a crocheter whatsoever. I have crocheted things, but I'm not good at it. Just never had much to crochet. This woman, I look at her stuff constantly because she is so hilarious. She does all kinds of crazy stuff. And one of my favorite things she does is petty crochet gifts. I want to say she started this during the holidays. Like, you want to crochet something for somebody, you want to crochet for people that appreciate what you make, etc., etc. But she's like, no, you can make a crochet gift for people that you don't like, and just to make a point of pettiness. So she also does a lot of, I don't know if there's any, spite crafts. She does a lot of stuff with other crocheters, so she's just delightful. So we'll look at this one. Oh no.
Can't stand something that says screw you, but subtly and with class. If you abhor that whore but can't declare war, try one of my gifts to crochet or knit for people you don't like that you don't want them to know that you don't like them. To recap, in part 8 we learned the value of hiding a crochet pee-pee in your amigurumi, to which some of you said, that's diabolical, but I would prefer something different. So allow me to introduce you to the lark's foot stitch. This classic lady is reminiscent of your grandma's crochet, perfect for granny squares, blankets, and shawls. But look carefully, and there's a hidden message inside. It's not super beginner friendly, but if you have pettiness in your heart and determination in your fingers, you can do it. Want a more modern way to say you in craft form? Why, that calls for a middle finger cactus, of course. Just imagine it perched upon your enemy's 2000s era combination fax and printer machine. So satisfying. Even comes with this secret compartment where you can, that's right, stick a in it. Hope that helps, and follow for more curiously entertaining crochet. Do you need a slightly spiteful gift for someone you can't
I forgot that she sometimes has she does crochet genitalia too. I don't want to get censored again, Twitch, so we won't look at it anymore of her stuff. She is absolutely hilarious, though. I love her so much. I could care less about the crochet projects, honestly, because I'm, I don't crochet, but she's fantastic. And I mean, honestly, somebody who wants to get into crochet, she would be the perfect person to look at and get ideas and then go from there, because she is fantastic. All right. So my next one, probably won't really play much of this, but I wanted to make sure people are aware of Fat Quarter Shop. I'm sure most of you are, but I know people have some issues with Missouri Star. And, I'm not here to, poop on any of these online businesses because, I believe in uplifting everybody. But I know people have some issues with Missouri Star, and they are a big, player in the online, tutorials and, online sales of quilt related stuff. So I would like to give you an alternative if you're one of the people that's not into Missouri Star. Kimberly Jolly at Fat Quarter Shop. I have been ordering from her probably for more than 15 years, probably pushing 20 years. She's been in business for a very long time, and she does a lot of the same kind of stuff. She's down in Texas, and she, so early in her shop, when I first started shopping from her, I think her business was still in her garage. And then she's expanded and they have a warehouse and everything. So, but she's just fantastic customer service, and they just they have everything. So if you're into the really modern stuff like Ruby Star Society and Tula and all that stuff, she's got that. If you're into reproductions and, more, contemporary stuff, she's got that too. So there's been very few things that I've been looking for that are kind of current on the market that she doesn't have. So, I just wanted to share her and, just know that there's alternatives out there. I mean, look at these, beautiful. And she does fantastic photography too. So the next one is our friend Dawn. Dawn, we, of course, on Quilt Nerding read her book. We interviewed her. She posts quite a bit on both Facebook and Instagram, and I'm just sharing her Instagram here. She is Collector with a Needle. She also sells on Etsy, so you can find her a lot of places, but what I can say is she shares images of her stuff. And for instance, this is what she calls her unicorn. It's a nut. It is an actual, I didn't understand until Jill explained this to me. That is an actual nut. It's bigger than the English walnuts that say we have here, or black walnuts that we have in the US. Some kind of gargantuan nut, but it is a nut nonetheless. It's a nut shell. And, Victorian era, they would take these things and turn them into little boxes and cases and things. And this one is a little sewing set. And Jill has one as well. Hers looks a little bit different. But it's all of the silver work and things around it. So it's a beautiful little art object. And just one of those, those things that are very rare. They probably didn't survive very well into the future. So she collects things like that are just gorgeous. And so I stalk her account all the time because I always want to see what she's got going on and what she's looking at. And she posts a lot of videos and things. And there was one the other day. I don't think it was this one. I'm not sure. She posted one recently. Sometimes she'll take her reels and stuff down, but she got something in the mail recently that, we're anxiously waiting to hear about from her. So I think she had posted a little reel of getting that in the mail and doing her unboxing. So, all right, Weaver Street Shops is my next one, and this is another Sarah. This place is only open on weekends, and it is in a little town in Virginia called Gordonsville. It's kind of outside of Charlottesville, probably 45 minutes outside of Charlottesville, maybe a little closer than that. But she just has gorgeous things. So not just quilts, but other types of textiles. Looks like she's gotten some gifty sort of things in. It's just a really neat space. And I know she's had a lot of this jewelry and stuff too. She's got a big case of jewelry. So, if you are ever there, I highly recommend stopping by because she's just got piles of beautiful things. Feed sacks. She has tons of feed sacks, quilts galore. So anyway, I wanted to give her a little plug because she's such a nice lady and she's got such beautiful things. And last but not least is Drennan Davis. Now, we all love cat videos, do we not? I guess if you don't like cat videos, we can still be friends, but I probably will love you a little bit less. Now, Drennan Davis, he was a writer for Conan, so he's kind of got that sort of personality and humor. So if you don't like that kind of stuff, you're not going to like Drennan Davis. But he's got 4 cats. The orange ones are named Frog, Toad, and Newt, and the black and white one is named Doug. And he does these crazy videos with them. He's also on YouTube, but I watch him on Instagram. But there's a lot of these kind of themes, so you kind of have to watch them from the beginning. And, you know, again, these videos are really short little clips. So I would say if you're having a bad day, go to Drennan Davis's account and just start from the beginning and watch, because these cats are insane. They're so stupid, and they are just so funny. Let's see. Did I lose it? Oh, here's cats got into the stash. Oh.
Is that from the catnip vending machine?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Please stop stealing catnip. You're going to get it all over the chair.
Hey,
Hey, what are you doing, Frog?
Whoa, I can't see.
Very cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, cool. You probably should have closed the bag tighter. Whoa, that's the most catnip I've ever seen. Dad, are you a drug cartel?
I'm going to get the vacuum.
Look at all
Don't touch it.
Oh, yeah, of course. We'll just sniff it and eat it.
Okay. Yep, saw that coming.
Whoa. Where'd you get this stuff, Dad?
Take it easy on this stuff, guys.
Did you hear that? Nah, you're just paranoid. You're a cop! Whoa!
Toad, take it easy. He's not a cop.
Oh, yeah. Whoa! Did you hear that?
You guys okay? Don't you mind those nippies, Doug. Hey, Newt, what are you doing?
Huh? Nothing.
Is that from the catnip vending machine?
So he also does all the voices, by the way. And I'm so curious as to how he produces these videos, because he's obviously like recording and he's doing things to get the cats to meow. They seem to be chatty cats anyway. But then he does all the voiceover for them, and they're so funny. And he has like kind of these regular segments like Cat TV, and then there's Business Cats. They run a business. So it's good stuff, and it's good, clean fun, and it's funny. They do murder leprechauns. They have kidnapped and imprisoned Santa. They have put the holiday spirit in the freezer, and they have summoned a ghost. So these are the things you will encounter when you look at Drennan Davis and his cats. So, all right, guys. I hope you have enjoyed those. And like I said, if you want me to share yours, I will absolutely gladly share anybody's social media, your websites, whatever you want, if you want. You just need to let me know, and I will do another roundup. All right. So are you guys ready for some Carrie Hall? So I didn't get super far into the chapter that we're reading. It's a hodgepodge of fashions. Let me get back to this chapter beginning so I can remind you. So we are watching. Would help if I put my, sorry guys, this back up. Okay. So we are reading from Hoopskirts to Nudity by Carrie Hall, 1938. As you guys know, I was censored a while back. I'm still a little gun shy. I don't want them to think that this is porn. It is not. So we are reading Chapter 6, A Hodgepodge of Fashions, 1906 to 1913. We got a little ways into this. This is a long chapter. And so I left off in the early 1900s. Let's see, we talked about hobble skirts. We talked about, just sort of the changing dress. And we mentioned, of course, Gibson, Charles Gibson, the Gibson girls, etc. So just a quick visual reminder of what we're looking at. We got these fancy ladies. Again, I do not understand this giant muff. It is giant. It is obviously a statement piece and not a piece just for keeping your hands warm. These are some tailored walking skirts and dresses, whatever. We've got these two lovely ensembles, the hobble skirts. And so, the point here is women are They're starting to get rid of the really tight corsetry that makes the weird body shapes, and it's more of like kind of undergarments. You know, we're getting closer to undergarments like we would know today. But, you know, we still have these ridiculous fashion trends like the hobble skirt. So that's where we're at. So we've left off here. America is kind of taking on its own fashion trends. In 1913, a knee-length tunic was added to the hobble skirt, and because of the influence of war in the Balkan countries, the Balkan blouse with its full loose sleeve of the Moyen Age, it's AGE, but it's got a little over the A, so I don't know if that's Moyen Age, and its belt girdling the hips was introduced. Fashion has indulged in many strange freaks regarding the length and position of the waistline. Carrie Hall is very, very like judgmental about some of these things, and I like. It's interesting to me because I'm like, yeah, some fashion's ridiculous, but like really strange freaks just because you've got a high waistline, like that's weird. Sometimes the girdle was placed nearly under the arms. Sometimes it passed to the opposite extreme and was suffered to fall upon the hips. Well, you know, what you're talking about here, Carrie Hall, we do know the high-waist pants versus low-rise pants. We've all dealt with this in our lifetimes. Often it was drawn tightly around the middle where it seemed to cut the body almost in two. We have another little poem. Wander, wander, little waist, don't you wonder where you're placed? Up and down, us you must go, seeking rest, both high and low. Just like my jeans. One of the most important details of women's dress is the many different methods of engirdling the waist. The women of Israel and the women of Egypt, according to their wealth, bound themselves with belts of gold and silver wrought with precious stones. I don't think it was just Israel and Egypt. I think that there's a lot of the tribal cultures in the Middle East, particularly nomadic groups. Also, and I even think like there's parts of Asia that do this too, where their wealth, the gold and silver and things that they have that are and even stones and things that are worth money, are made into jewelry and made into things like where coins are sewn to garments and jewelry. It's not just Israel and Egypt. This is something that happened in a lot of different cultures. The Greeks and Romans aspired to grace and beauty in their draped robes without girdling. 17th century bodices banished the girdle entirely, but it reappeared with the shorter waist of the Empire period. While the modern fancy demands simplicity and freedom in every detail, this reincarnation of the long Moyen Age waist, as it was called, with its flowing Greek tunic of the hobble skirt, gave an entirely new silhouette. It also had a salutary effect on the manner of fitting dresses, which was no longer a matter of accuracy, as in former years, but a matter of artistry in the subtle arrangement of lines and harmonies of color. So again, we're kind of starting to get into ready-to-wear territory here. So you're not about, like, you don't have a dressmaker that's perfectly fitting something to your body, or kind of, you know, these sort of loose flowing things lend themselves to just buying off the rack. These flowing draperies gave ample opportunity for elaborate trimmings. In fact, this entire period was a riot of hand embroideries, braiding, and beading. An overwhelming amount of decoration was used on both suits and dresses of all types. It seems rather absurd that there should be fashions in posture as there are in other things. Yet, one of the idiosyncrasies of this period was the debutante slouch. A drooping, boneless pose, much affected by high school and college girls. In order to slouch correctly, one must contract the lungs, throw out the stomach, let down one hip, looking as if one were about ready to perform a more or less ungraceful flop. Wow, Carrie. Carrie Hall is describing something that I think is like your standard fashion model pose, that like... But also, I think lots of people still do this. Like, See, it is hard to trace the origin of these vagaries, and if, as has been suggested, this was a pose caught from the beauty of a Greek figure, it was a cheap, poorly done imitation of a beautiful art. The relaxed position of the Greek figure was the abandon of a perfect strength, not the slump of a weak, undeveloped body. Oh, Carrie Hall, how you would be just absolutely horrified by today. Those of us that have tech neck, Carrie Hall would be like, what is wrong with you people? By the end of the first decade of the 20th century, the world may be said to have entered into a new era, an era of hustle and excitement, when every year practically brought forth some new cause for amazement or an 8-day wonder. An 8-day wonder. What in 1912 appeared as trivialities would have been considered events 25 years before. Same today. The result of continually living at high pressure reflected itself not only in feminine fashions, but in feminine character as well. Youth and modernity were the passwords of the day, and as a result, it was no longer the fashion for women to grow old gracefully as their grandmothers had done. Silks that would stand alone, woolens that would last a lifetime, linens, but no vulgar cottons were what the stately ladies of the 1860s wanted. And if a woman had one best black silk dress, it served for church services every Sunday, as well as for every other occasion of importance, even the 4th of July celebration. Now, that day is forever past, and the elderly mothers demand line, individuality, and a certain simplicity, with soft textures and an ever-changing fashion, which makes them look many years younger. Carrie Hall, I was watching like 1960s, 1950s, 1960s TV reruns recently, and women that I know are my age, they were my age, and these shows look like frumpy old women. So is she talking about 30-year-old women trying to look younger? Because again, this is something we absolutely see today. And yeah, you know, this, I'm reading this and it's like, this is not new. This is not something that, you know, we're just giving women the business about. I mean, how often have you seen, oh, she really should dress closer to her age, or who does she think she is wearing things that are meant for a girl? You know, this is nothing new. Often they are mistaken for sisters of their own daughters. Oh, gasp. While the sophisticated daughters no longer want to look young, thinking it silly to wear juvenile-looking clothes. Once upon a time, there was a sharp distinction between the clothes of a girl and those of her elders. Now, many matrons buy the jeune fille frocks. Jeune fille? If Diogenes were abroad with his lantern today looking for a young girl, he would find it hard to tell which was which. And if he tried to distinguish her by her costume, excuse me, he would perhaps ask himself if her dress were the visible expression of her mental and moral state, and if so, what that state was. Well, Carrie Hall, you're being a little bit judgmental in my opinion. I mean, I may not dress in frocks, and I may dress way younger than I really should, but, you know, t-shirts and jeans are comfortable. Yo. Dress has much to do with making one look young or old, and for that reason should be carefully chosen. But no regretful vanity should blind the eyes of those whose bloom of youth has passed. The wise woman will not be a victim of such delusions. She will know that it is illusion that she needs, yards and yards of it, and will select lace and soft velvets for her costuming. Materials with a beautifying texture which will soften the unmistakable lines of age. Well, the thing is, Carrie Hall, we don't have lines of age anymore because we have Botox and Juvederm. So, you know, I was thinking about this recently. Now, there is a thing called like hand rejuvenation. You can literally get plastic surgery on your hands. But I think one of the best ways to tell if a woman is like what age she is look at her hands. Because women that are older are going to have like more crepey, sort of knobby fingers. Regardless of their weight, age will show on your hands. you know, even if you have not lived like a dishpan hand lifestyle. Hands, most people are not going to get nipped and tucked. So even if you have like a flawless face and you've had some procedures, your hands will tell tales on you. It is one of the divine privileges of old age that it may make its own fashions. In exercising this divine prerogative, do not be unfair to your body, the temple of your soul. Especially, do not caricature it by choosing your clothes with indiscriminating taste. Remember, she said style. What was it? Style and fashion. Style is something innate or that you have to learn. Like, two different people can wear the exact same dress and one of them look fantastic, runway worthy, and one can look like a frump. So this is what she's hinting at, I think. Colors, lines, length of skirt, shape of sleeve, shape of hat must all be carefully thought out as the charming older woman modifies the mode to suit her increasing years. All right. Thanks, Carrie Hall. All right, let's look at a couple more of these. These are later. So this is 1912. Looks like the skirts we've gone away from that hobble skirt. We've got sort of a draped skirt here. We've got something that looks like it's got some like sort of a pleated situation in the back. So maybe that's some more space. And then this one looks like it's got a kick pleat. So here on the side. Because I think I remember last week when we were reading earlier in the chapter, she talked about like baking the slit and then putting like a godet in there, like something to make that knot tight around your legs so that you can walk. Let's see. This is a Parisian example of the hobble skirt and an evening wrap. These are lovely. There's that hobble skirt. That one looks like it's got some sort of little ruffle around the bottom. And then this is an evening wrap. That looks very, I think the artist was Urte. I can't remember his first name. He was a French artist. And he drew this kind of stuff. So this next one is a peg top skirt and a Paul Poiret model, the minaret dress. So look at that. That definitely gives kind of minaret vibes. You know, you've kind of got this like roundedness and then this point at the top. It's sort of minaret-like. And then this is that peg top dress. And so you can see this one I think shows better than one we looked at the other day, where the skirt is cinched up and then all of this excess, instead of being like pleated, it kind of falls on the sides, sort of in like a drape. And then finally, these are blouses. So this is the era of the blouse and a separate skirt that looks different. Okay. The modes of the closing year of this period, 1916, point plainly to the fact that there is nothing absolutely new in any fashion. They take us back to the basque and crinoline of Grandmother's Day. Skirts were full, and their width was emphasized by horizontal trimmings. They were also much shorter. You know, they showed the ankle. And with the shorter skirts came a new emphasis on footwear, because you can now see the shoes and the ankles. Colored shoes were worn, and shoe tops were made quite high, just meeting the edge of the skirt. Corsets, in the meanwhile, had become more rational. The hideous stays devised more than 60 years ago without the slightest hygienic principles had developed into what was known as the straight front corset, and this had been greatly improved since its first inception. From being merely straight-fronted, it had been given a form more nearly approaching the human figure, and was now eminently fitted to satisfy the increased medical knowledge of women in regard to the laws of health. So, like, not squeezing yourself into, like, a weird shape. This fact alone is sufficient to mark these years as a red-letter period in feminine intelligence. Oh, my God. Carrie Hall. So, because your bra and your girdle fit better, you're much smarter now. She does say some weird things. The increased activity of all women in the field of sports. Ah, yes, remember, sports. Sports is what has done this. The activity of all women in the field of sports was an important factor in the evaluation of the figure, from the hourglass type to the present ease and comfort of the straight-fronted silhouette. No sport indulged in by man is denied woman. She can hunt, fish, shoot, swim, sail a boat, drive a car, pilot an airplane, as well as play tennis and golf. Well, she's not playing football now, is she? Sports demanded and got a costume all its own. And because it was an extreme novelty, capricious women wore it on every and all occasions, for shopping, luncheons, matinees, and often to restaurant dinners. Remember, this is when women were not supposed to dine alone, but department stores are cropping up, and there are restaurants now where women can go together and not, have to have a chaperone. As far as sports clothes are concerned, any woman but a true sportswoman is hopelessly handicapped, for she cannot consider sports apart from fashions, and so there came into use what was known as spectator sports clothes. But the woman who goes into sports for the athletic achievement loses prestige because of the fervent devotee to the uniform, but not to the spirit of sport. A protest against wearing the fashions of sport on any and all occasions is but another way to try to arouse a latent sense of appropriateness. You mean keeping the women down, and an appreciation of the importance of confining fashions to their proper place. Again, keeping women down. In this age of varied activities, every woman of fashion should be suitably dressed for the occasion. Sports clothes for sportswear, tailors for walking, and for the formal occasion, evening dress. The lines should be clearly marked. Are you kidding me? Come on. Hiking was another form of sport that brought out the absurdity of certain types of costume. All addicts, whether fat or lean, dressed in some form of the breeches and shirt uniform, but not always with the same kind of footwear. For while some wore shoes suitable for mountain climbing, others wore French heels, to the utter disgust of the seasoned hiker. This healthful exercise might have proved beneficial and lasting had its devotees been content to wear a snappy short skirt with concordant accessories. Oh my God. This reads like the people that wear Lululemon just because they want to look like they've come from the workout, yet they don't actually work out. I mean, athleisure. Think about this. You could buy for the longest time yoga pants for going and practicing yoga, or, like leggings and sports bras for going to the gym. But now there's athleisure, which is the same stuff, but you're not necessarily wearing it to the yoga studio or the gym. You're wearing it to the grocery store. So I can see this is all still playing out in our lives in just different forms. Skating is another form of sport that requires as careful dressing as dancing. The days when any old thing would do for outdoor sports has long since passed. The skater must give careful attention to every detail of her costume. From head to toe, from hat to skates, each detail must be perfect. This graceful art has been with us in one form or another for more than 1,000 years. Ice skating has been around for 1,000 years. Okay. And both skates and clothes have been mightily changed in that time. She has no footnote here, so I'm wondering exactly where she came upon this ice skating has been around for 1,000 years. I have no doubt that people have had to scoot across ice for 1,000 years, but doing it for sport, I don't know. I'm struggling with that one, although, prove me wrong. If anybody knows about the history of ice skating, I would love to know, but I don't know. Moving along. The hats of this period were as diversified and as freakish as were the skirts and sleeves. She loves to throw around freakish. And many of them were set upon the head by means of a bandeau so that they looked as if they were just ready to fly aloft. One particular type resembled an overturned peach basket with half the vegetables and fruit done in bunches on the outside. It was also called the lampshade hat and the beehive hat. It covered the eyes in front while resting upon the shoulders in the back. It must have been the reincarnation of one Shakespeare had in mind when he said, "Upon her hat a plaited hive of straw, which fortified her visage from the sun." Yeah, so this is like some big, like, thing. And I'm reminded, I want to say it was an episode of I Love Lucy. And I think it was like a period of time where they traveled to Los Angeles. And this is like where I think there was a famous scene where she and Bill Holden are like, she's eating lunch with him and she like takes out her manicure scissors to cut the spaghetti as she's eating it. It's just ridiculous. But I believe it's in this series of shows during this whatever season it was where she goes to see like a fashion show or something, and they have women coming out in these ridiculous hats of like that literally they're just crazy. And so she gets the idea that she can't afford any of these clothing and hats, but perhaps she can make her own. And so it's like a broken flower pot and like literally a potato sack, and she makes it into something. So I can't remember all the details, but that's what this reminds me of, like these crazy things. And I mean, this is, that obviously is long after 1938. So again, like this stuff is just, it doesn't, this kind of like attitude doesn't change, that we've got crazy fashions, we've got weird stuff, we've got all these trends, like it just, this could have been written today. Another hat of extreme proportions was known as the Merry Widow hat, named for the popular light opera of that name. Many models measured 36 inches in diameter across the brim. That is huge, a yard. Thus giving ample space to willow plumes and various types of trimming. Okay, so these are those big, like Gibson Girl things with all the stuff. An article of necessity at this time was the extremely ferocious-looking hat pin. We often hear of women in their hat pins. Many of them were almost large enough and surely quite pointed enough to have been used as weapons of defense, and yet they were entirely inadequate to fix with stability the overturned basket or the Merry Widow hat of the period. Many a little woman with a big hat became a skilled contortionist, trying to keep her hat well balanced and not dislocate her neck. It's funny that she talks about the hat pins being used as weapons. Women did use hat pins as weapons. They put an extra one in there for whipping off and jabbing somebody if they needed to. This was the decade when women in all walks of life busied themselves with crocheting, and many were the creations they produced. There were corset cover yokes, nightgown yokes, bedspreads of every variety, and edging to be used as trimming on various and sundry articles of clothing. But the most hideous concoction of all was what was called a boudoir cap. It was a monstrosity which was suitable, as its name implies, to be worn only in one's bedroom or boudoir. Imagine its being worn promiscuously as a substitute for a hat on any and all occasions. Words are inadequate to express its inappropriateness on a public street, or in a car. My God, what does this thing look like? I don't see anything in the pictures. In 1906, long chiffon veils in various colors were pinned around the hat and left to float in the breeze. Complexion veils of finest white gauze with an overtracing of fine black threads were worn by all who wanted this added protection in hiding the effects of approaching age. And this is good advice today, you know? Wear something to cover your face, and you too will have a skin that looks like of a much younger person. I've always said, people ask me, you don't look your age. And I'm like, no, I don't look my age. I haven't been in the sun since like 1986. That's how you look not your age. Like, don't ever get sun on your face. All motor apparel was quite as wonderful and fully as fearful as the car in which its fair wearer wheeled through the streets and over the countryside, striking terror in the hearts of rural beholders. The motor had much to do with prolonging the use of the veil, but with the advent of closed cars, the universal fashion of bobbed hair, so we're pushing into the 20s here, and the use of a hairnet, they have been relegated to the limbo of all outgrown fashions. This hodgepodge period had, and you know what, actually, to go back on that, so this idea of women having, like, they didn't have windshields at the first cars. So, they're wearing goggles and they've got stuff to cover up their heads and their hair and like scarves and things. And, I think it's clothing that makes sense. If you don't want to get dusty, dirty, have bugs in your face and all in your hair, then you would want to cover up like that. Now think about like when sports cars and, convertibles became popular, like in the 50s and 60s. You see the same kind of stuff. You got scarves, you've got big sunglasses. So this stuff just keeps coming back. I'm not really necessarily a fashion person, but as I'm reading this, like there's just so much that she's observing that I'm like, yeah, like we can definitely see the through line, the repetition of history. This hodgepodge period had its effect upon jewelry, which mirrored the result of a changing sense of values. The predilection for synthetic stones and strings of colored beads in an endless variety was largely due to the influence of French Nouveau Art jewelry. Platinum superseded gold as a setting for Okay, I'm back. Hopefully I'm in the same stream now. Looks like you guys are still here. I don't know what happened. Thank you, Druid. What a pain in the rear. I don't know how that happened. I just suddenly got a little bing and it's like, you're not streaming anymore. Like, what the heck? So, sorry about that. I haven't had that happen in a really long time. So Druid found some info for us. So before I go on, let me read what she said about ice skating. All right, come on, link. There we go. So she says, okay, ice skating's history stretches back over 4,000 years. Okay. Call me educated. Originating in Scandinavia as a method of transportation, evolving from animal bone skates to modern metal blades and becoming a popular sport and recreational activity. Okay, so I'm guessing it starts as trying to move across the ice. The earliest evidence of ice skating dates back to around 300 BCE in Scandinavia, where people used flattened, sharpened animal bones strapped to their feet for traversing frozen lakes and waterways. Studies suggest that the earliest ice skating practices occurred in southern Finland, where people used animal bones to glide across the ice. In the 13th or 14th century, the Dutch revolutionized ice skating by introducing steel blades with sharpened edges, making gliding on the ice much easier and more efficient. The first skating club was founded in Edinburgh, Scotland, in 1742, further solidifying the sport's popularity. American ballet dancer Jackson Haynes is widely credited with developing the techniques and style that led to the modern form of figure skating in the late 19th century. Okay, fascinating. All right, so Scandinavia makes total sense. Got lots of ice there. Okay, I have been educated. So thank you for finding that, Druid. I had no idea. I have been ice skating a few times. The last time I went was when my child was 12 and he broke his ankle while we were ice skating. So, yeah. All right. So I'm not exactly sure when this thing quit. So I'm going to roll back to a little bit here. And I apologize if I'm Yay, Leah! I'm so glad. I love learning facts. I feel like I probably know a little bit about a lot of stuff. My in-depth knowledge on things is kind of limited, but I know a lot of random things. Kind of comes from my professional life and instructional design. You just learn a little bit about a lot of things. But yeah, facts and trivia are interesting. All right, I'm going to go back and read on the motor vehicle stuff. So apologize if I'm rereading what I've already read, but just in case. So in 1906, long chiffon veils in varying colors were pinned around the hat and left to float in the breeze. Complexion veils of finest white gauze with an overtracing of fine black threads were worn by all who wanted this added protection in hiding the effects of approaching age. All motor apparel was quite as wonderful and fully as fearful as the car in which its fair wearer wheeled through the streets and over the countryside, striking terror to the hearts of rural beholders. The motor had much to do with prolonging the use of the veil, but with the advent of closed cars, the universal fashion of bobbed hair, and the use of hairnet, they have been relegated to the limbo of all outgrown fashions. But what I had said there is that, again, once cars get windshields and tops and windows that roll up, you don't necessarily need all this. But go back to the 1950s and 60s when sports cars and convertibles were a big deal. And you go back to seeing women with like big sunglasses and, scarves wrapped around their hair because they had hairstyles that required protection again. You didn't just have little bobs. Again, like these things, I just see these things like coming up again and again. Fashion is never really dead. It revives itself decades down the line in some new way. All right. So this hodgepodge period had its effect upon jewelry, which mirrored the result of a changing sense of values. The predilection for synthetic stones and strings of colored beads in an endless variety was largely due to the influence of French Nouveau art jewelry. Platinum superseded gold as a setting for diamonds and gave added value to the stones. Earrings, because of the fact that they were now designed with screwbacks, which made it unnecessary to pierce the ears, achieved a popular revival. And so this was interesting to me, and this might have been right when I heard my streaming wasn't working anymore. But this is something that I guess I just never really thought about it. My grandmother did not have pierced ears. My other grandmother got her ears pierced like in the 70s, I think. Like I want to say it was probably in my lifetime, and she started wearing like pierced jewelry, earrings. But I guess I had just always thought about, I don't know, I just kind of always thought screwback jewelry was just always. But it sounds like possibly in the Victorian era they were piercing their ears. I just did not know this. It's just something I've never really paid much attention to. Okay. The one piece of jewelry most coveted was known as a bar pin. It was a bar of platinum from 2 or 3 inches long, set with diamonds. This pin, fastened to the front of a sheath gown, was often its only point of anchorage. Oh my. Bracelets never really go out of fashion. They only vary with the years. And the newly designed wristwatch, which made its appearance, was one form of bracelet that was exceedingly popular. So yeah, this is where watches that you wear on your wrist come in. They're no longer a something worn as a pendant or something worn like, pocket watch type thing. You've literally got tiny watches or tiny clocks for your wrist. But many other jangling types were worn, as were marquise dinner rings, reaching from knuckle to knuckle, set with diamonds or even with synthetic stones. I actually have a marquise dinner ring that I inherited from a relative, and don't try to rob me because I don't think it's worth that much. I mean, it's got diamonds. I'm not sure what the metal is, if it's white gold or platinum, but in any event, it's not, but it's very pretty, and it's considered costume jewelry, even though it's made out of like finer materials, because it's not like, they're not flawless diamonds. They were sort of, more affordable fine jewelry. So I think it falls in the costume jewelry category, I guess. The low shoes of this period created a demand for handsome buckles, and the heels of the evening slippers were often studded with rhinestones. Oh my. Because of the scantiness of the skirts and the absence of underthings, she acts like these women are walking around naked. I mean, we're talking about ankle-length skirts and less than 12 petticoats. So they're scanty, I suppose. The pocket, which had always been one of the very much desired prerequisites of a woman's dress, had to be relinquished. This is when things go bad for us. As a side note, I did laundry this weekend and discovered that somebody in the loads before mine had washed a tissue or some type of like fast food napkin. It was thin enough that it had to have either been a Kleenex, like a tissue, or one of those really shoddy, cheesy fast food napkins. And I washed my clothes and I pull my clothes out and everything's got like little bits on it. And I'm like, what in the hell? And I say this to my husband and my child, and they're like, we didn't do it. Are you sure you didn't have like a Kleenex in your pocket? And I'm like, damn it, none of my clothes have pockets. Of course I didn't have a Kleenex in my pocket. And literally I didn't. Like literally everything I had washed were either sweatpants that didn't have pockets, jeans that have a pocket this deep, which I don't put anything in because it falls out, or t-shirts. I had literally nothing with pockets. So I was like, I absolutely 100% know I am not guilty of washing a tissue. So this is the period. This is the period. The exigencies of the times made it necessary to provide for carrying money and other paraphernalia. So the portemonnaies and chatelaine bags of former years were superseded by bags of various kinds, which, lacking a pocket in which to be carried or a belt on which to be hung, were carried in the hand or swung over the arm. These handbags, as they were called, though small, were indispensable. There were mesh bags of gold and silver links, beaded bags of great beauty of design and coloring, and the ever-useful leather bag, which has undergone many change in size and shape, and we still carry today. Suggestive fashions should be avoided. Oh, suggestive. One of these was the flesh-colored linings used under transparent fabrics in this and subsequent decades, because, oh my gosh, it makes it look like you're naked. Let's see. Fimnicool's mom says it was the not me ghost. We had one of those for years. They always ate something that wasn't theirs. With 5 kids, the not me ghost showed up often. Yeah, I have 1 kid and a husband, and the not me ghost haunts us nonstop. And now I'm a forgetful person. So I will admit there are times when I have blamed others for things I have done, but it's far and few between that I'm the culprit. It's usually one of them. Hey, Robin. I was talking about you earlier. I was talking about how Twitch is a pain, and I'm like, Robin knows. All right. Suggestive fashions. One of these was the flesh-colored linings used under transparent fabrics in this and subsequent decades. These linings were more suggestive than the real flesh would have been. Really? So if you were just totally nude under transparent fabric, that would have been better than having a flesh-colored lining? I don't know. I think not. So these were more suggestive than real flesh would have been, as they were worn out of doors and under circumstances where the wearer would not dare to go out so thinly clad. What purpose did they serve except suggestiveness? Carrie Hall probably would have lost her mind if she saw some of the stuff that is on the red carpet. And I think that stuff is beautiful. The illusion, where it's like the under, the slip or the undergarment is of a color that is so close to the wearer's flesh tone that it looks like they're naked. And then you have this amazing, like, whatever, beaded, draped, like whatever. And it's transparent fabric to really set off whatever the beading or the gemstones, whatever it is. I think that's amazing. I think that's really beautiful. And that's the purpose. You're trying to show off this illusion of like just being encrusted in beads or you know, gems or whatever. So Carrie Hall was a prude. In 1911, a woman fashion writer said, "A woman may make a guy of herself in a sheath dress." A guy of herself in a sheath dress, or a hobble skirt and a lampshade hat. She may still be unmoral in a dress, but she will not be immoral in a dress. Okay. The costumes of today may be suggestive, but they are not, frankly, sensual. Okay. So what she's saying is, it's like, it's suggestive of the fact you're naked, but it's in no way sexy. So it's unmoral to look like you're naked, but it's not immoral as long as you're not flaunting your stuff, right? Oh my gosh, this stuff cracks me up. After a decade of this hodgepodge of fashions, Paris made a strenuous effort to regain its supremacy. So remember, Paris has a little bit become irrelevant because they're starting to deal with, you know, World War I is popping up in Europe. And so they're dealing with that. And the American fashion is like, we don't really need you anymore. We've got our own, you know, the New York fashion, all that stuff. So Paris is regaining its supremacy, and rumors within rumors insisted that the latest edict of Dame Fashion was that every woman in every way should look exactly like every other woman. They would make the silhouette as uniform as diversity of height and width permitted. The Paris dressmakers accepted the sheath gown as the basic outline and used it in all of its variations. Sometimes they scalloped it on the hem, or they plaited the skirt, or they hung a swinging panel on one side or both. And sometimes they let a long sash end drop below the hemline. But essentially, all these variations represented the same sort of attire to the eyes of the initiated. Women knew this, but being women, and therefore subject to the whims of fashion, they submitted. And in every fashionable gathering, there were dozens of women with their hair dressed in exactly the same way, with the same swirl and the same number of curls and puffs. They looked more or less as if they had been poured into the same mold, that is to say, the same kind of corsets, and their flawless gowns and accessories, if not exactly alike, were of the same type. I mean, yeah, it's kind of the way fashion, you know. Every one of them had adapted her body, her movements, and her tastes to the commonplace desire of being dressed in the latest fashion, as if afraid to differ from the set forms at the moment approved. What would have been the result of this attempt to dress every woman in the same model had it succeeded? Who's who then when everyone else looks like the twin of Who's who when everyone looks like the twin of everyone else? Yeah, right, Robin? This is when the Stepford Wives started. Exactly. I mean, we still deal with this, you know? I mean, and I know that people today are, particularly in the United States, I mean, I come from this with my head here, like kind of in the U.S. culture. Everybody wants to be unique. Everybody wants to be different. But essentially, you know, whether it's a casual, like what's acceptable fashion, or like the high fashion, you're still like, you know, if low-rise jeans are popular, everybody's trying to wear low-rise jeans, whether you should or not. when high-waist pants are in, everybody's trying to wear the high-waist pants. You know, it's like we still do this. Nothing's changed, even no matter how, you know, how much we try to be creative and individual in our looks. It was evident that this effort on the part of the designers to standardize women's clothes was intended to find approval in the eyes of the men, whose own apparel is so standardized, but such was not the case. The follies and foibles of female garments are often railed at by men, but the more sophisticated among them will confess that they rather like this foolishness. Okay. That there is a distinct charm in seeing women being absurd. Well, excuse me, I think not. Like, if you think that's charming, then poo on you. Druid said high waist pants reach all the way to my boobs. Yes, I'm very short-waisted. I have long legs, but I'm short-waisted. So yeah, if I try to wear high-waist pants, they are not hitting me at a logical place. That's why there's a couple pattern companies, and I've made my own clothes, for a long time. When I have something like really special I want, if I have the time, I will make it for myself instead of trying to find go buy like a fancy dress or something, because no matter what I buy, it always looks ridiculous. But if I make it, I have this one particular dress pattern that I've made literally 3 times because I just like the way the dress fits and kind of make it look different depending on the fabric. So, these are the things we do today. And or you find have you ever found the perfect pair of jeans and you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this in every color imaginable because I will never find these jeans again. Right? So you were glad when low-waisted jeans became popular. They actually fit you in a regular way. And see, I cannot do low-waisted. It's not pretty. Let's just put it that way. They just don't work out. All right. The distinct charm of seeing women being absurd. I don't like that. It gives them greater opportunity to admire their own masculine superiority. Well, there you go. Adam Beatty, in George Eliot's book of that name, said, I'm not denying the women are foolish. God made them to catch the men, or match the men. Okay, well, if you're saying men are foolish too, then okay. we all, as humans, are foolish. It takes both courage and skill to be part of the conscientious dressmaker to curb the craze of modern women for something new, whether it is becoming to her particular type of beauty or not. This craze seems to be predominant and to be synchronized with the growing restlessness of the age, an age of fast motors, airplanes, and a feverish desire for excitement and distractions both day and night. Did you just not describe our lifestyle? Now, granted, fast cars, airplanes have been around for some time, but are we not always looking for a distraction? Is this not why the internet is so proliferated our lives over the past 2-3 decades? Yeah. For the women, there must always be some new fashion, some new color, no matter whether it is beautiful and becoming or distractingly ugly. Like Pantone and Kona's colors of the year. Always ugly. I hate them all. Old-fashioned is a fearsome phrase to some women, but to wear what is said to be the latest fashion just because it is new, without regard for its becomingness or suitability, is one of the follies of fashion. That is chapter 6. So I do not feel seen in this chapter. I feel like very, well, excuse me, Carrie Hall. All right, so this is interesting. This is, look at this. This dress right here, that is very short looking. That almost reminds me, if I had looked at this picture, not knowing that it was 1915, I would have said 1950s. Just glancing at that. Now, looking at it in detail, I kind of see it doesn't quite look right for the 50s, but that length is more of a T length than just above the ankles. Now this one, this is that Moyen Age blouse. So it's kind of gathered up kind of. And then you've got this a tunicness over this hobble skirt. Looks like a complex bit of clothing. Okay, so we have Dresses for Bride and Mother of the Bride, 1908. I would say that bridal dress is, we don't necessarily see people getting a dress like that, but it's not so far out of the realm. I've actually seen a couple of videos not long ago where women have, either worn their mother's dress, their grandmother's dress, and so you see kind of these throwback dresses that I think are pretty cool. I was just a little bit too big to wear my mother's wedding dress, and I would not have wanted to wear my mother's wedding dress because I didn't like it. Now, my grandmother's wedding dress was very cool, but my grandmother was about the size of, a beanpole when she got married. Later in life, she and I were the same size, and I could wear her 70s clothes. which I always love to do. This is, see, the hobble skirt and a peg top skirt. So again, these peg top skirts are the ones that have that weird, like, sort of draped stuff. And then this one is just the long thing. And these, again, so Art Nouveau. Very Art Nouveau. Oh, hey, Anon Maker. Your mother got married in a silver lame mini dress. I love that. That is so cool. I love it when people choose either something, like, different, or maybe just elope. And so they wear something that's, you know... Okay, Vegas, baby. All right. I see you. I love that. My in-laws got married in Vegas. Now, I think my mother-in-law just sort of wore like a simple A-line dress. I don't think it was white. I think it was like a pastel color, if I remember correctly. So she got dressed up. But, you know, I also have friends that have gone to the Justice of the Peace and, like, just wearing whatever business casual attire. Which I think is funny. In all cases, they were second marriages. So maybe that's, you know, people are just like, nah, I don't need that big wedding again. But I think if I was getting remarried, you know, my husband just walked in. So he's like, excuse me, what is this about getting remarried? If I was to ever be remarried, you know, I certainly wouldn't have like a big wedding. I would just do a Justice of the Peace, but I would get dressed up for it. I might wear a LeMay mini dress. That would be so fun.
I'm not coming.
He's not coming. He is my first husband, but all right. So there's the dress, the shirt waists, those shirts, those blouses, and then here's the skirts. So, and the dates on those are 1906, and then the skirts are 1906 to 1910. So, kind of what I would expect. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it there. That was the end of that chapter. And let's see, next time around, we start to get photographs because we're getting into a period that has photography. So this next one is called, so chapter 7 is 1916 to 1926, the post-war sexless period. I'm not coming. Yes, if you guys knew Mr. Cake, Ranger Cake, he's a park ranger, you would know what a clown he is. And we are a perfect match for each other. So although I introduce him as my first husband, he is probably going to always be the only one. All right, guys. The time has come. So do not forget, this coming Thursday, no stream. Next Monday, no stream. I will be back a week from Thursday. So that is, what did we say? Is it March? I'm sorry, April. Today is March 31st. I will be back on April 10th. So April 10th, you'll see me again. Oh, thank you, Robin. Yes, it will be so much fun. It'll be great. But check out Quilt Nerding. There will be a video uploaded tomorrow. We are hoping to do a pop-up depending on our internet access. And of course, we will have so much to share when we come back. And then my month will get crazy again. So I will let you guys know about that coming up. But for now, I will be back on April 10th for business as usual. So you guys take care. Have a wonderful week. We've got warm weather here, so I hope you're getting some nice weather. I know, let's see, Lincoln, Nebraska, I know is having lovely weather, so I'm hoping everyone else is too. So, all right, guys, take care, and I'll see you soon. Mwah!